Yes, what's happening? Episode 2 of That's Proper. Today we're going to be speaking to Marvin Adamha, formerly known as Crown Freedom. We're going to hear about his musical journey. He's an artist from Manchester who's been rapping for a long time. We're going to hear about where he started and where he's at today. He's also going to be in the kitchen, showing us what he likes to eat at home. Then we've got Barry Woodward, an amazing speaker and a man with a very powerful testimony. He shares it pretty much all over the UK, primarily in the jails. Stay tuned, That's Proper now. Yeah, Marvin, thank you for being with us today, bro. Big up. I believe you're going to show us something special on the hub, and I just appreciate your time. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, people know us because we were together for a minute, innit?
I know, I was never with you.
Yeah, you were never with me, and it never existed.
Oh, life that's dead. Oh, life that's dead. Gravestone, gravestone. Oh, life that's dead. Oh, life that's dead. Oh, life that's.
Nah, a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
Nah, so bro, show us what you're doing today, just quickly if you can.
So I'm just gonna make banana pancakes, really simple to make.
Yeah.
My missus showed me how to do this actually.
So this is a stolen recipe.
I just add stuff to it because you can throw blueberries in there into the actual pancake mix.
Yeah.
But it's really simple. Throw a bit of cinnamon in there, then you can add your strawberries and whatever yogurt. Even if you've got bacon and that, you want to go that far, start throwing bacon in there, chocolate spread and all that. Just depends. If you want, some people like that combination. But I'm just going to keep it fairly simple. This is quite easy to make. So yeah, I'm just going to start the process.
What age were you when you first started spitting then?
First started? Do you know what? I was probably about 10, you know. When I started writing singing songs. Before I started writing raps, it was just I liked English and I was good at storytelling and whatnot. So I just started from there, and then I was introduced to rap later in primary school. First started, someone taught me how to beatbox, so that got my interest up. And then my mum always had soul in the house, so I'd write soul songs. But then when I was introduced to rap, that just blew me away. Yeah. So I didn't know what was going on. I just thought, that's what I wanted to do.
Who impacted you first, rap-wise?
Do you know what? I mean, there's loads of artists, but
was it Heavy D from like a Michael Jackson album, like a random verse?
the first tape that I had was actually Criss Cross.
It's close to make ya jump. Don't try to compare us to another bad little fad. I'm the Mac and I'm bad. Give me a second.
My mum got me
that was the best song.
But it wouldn't even jump. They had some song, I think it was Wild Kids or something like that. It was a song like that, but it was just 2 songs on it. So you play it and then just have to flip it over, and obviously that's all I had. They'll just do that over and over again, learn the words and go through it. Yeah. But yeah, like early influences, like as I started to really get into it, of course Tupac, Wu-Tang, love Wu-Tang. You know who I used to really like, which might surprise a lot of people, is Missy Elliott.
I can't stand her. It's my window.
Missy Elliott and Timbaland, like their combination, just love the fact she was so creative. When she started doing her videos and that, I didn't know what was going on. My dad was into music, so he had a little recording studio in the basement, and it was the old, I think the analog stuff. So I remember him working on a song for time. I swear it felt like 6 months he was working on one song. Yeah. It was one of them, if you make a mistake, you had to start again. You couldn't patch it in or whatever, like you couldn't cut in. But I used to just freestyle on the mic. I just used to make up songs there and then. I think I had a song saying, if you're naughty, you're naughty. I was about 8 or 10 or something like that. And but I didn't, to record my first piece, it was later on. I didn't really have access to studio. I couldn't use my dad's stuff because he's been working on this song for time. I couldn't mess with his stuff. So it was like, probably when I was 15, do you know how I recorded actually? Just by plugging the mic into the stereo.
Yeah.
And then recording and using an instrumental off a CD from Our Price, and then recording onto a tape. Then I just used to shot the tapes in school, just pass them about. That was the first. I think it was the first proper one that I did. Was, you might remember the song A+. Was it A+? Enjoy Yourself. I think it went to number 1 over here. Did it to that instrumental. He had a classic influence in that. Was it Beethoven the sample? But that's the first song that.
So
that
before
I
you were
actually
selling your
recorded.
CDs on Market Street, you were grafting in the school basically.
Yeah, basically.
On
Yeah,
cassette.
do you know what? I just used to pass them around just so people could hear it, you know what I mean? Like, just wanted people to hear it.
What was the heart for music back then? What was the drive?
I just loved it, you know. I don't know, I wasn't doing it to prove anything to anyone. I just did it because I loved it. Like, it was a part of me. Like, my dad made me, I think he forced me really to play drums. Do you know what I mean? Because he had drums in the basement, so I just learned to play drums a bit. Then he made me take keyboard lessons when I was in, and I'm always thankful for that because that's the reason why I can probably produce now.
Yeah.
But he made me take keyboard lessons in school, so it was always in me. My uncle used to be in like the brass bands and stuff like that. So I've got like a fairly musical family, and I just love music. I couldn't shake it. At one point, I probably loved basketball a bit more. Then when I realised I weren't going to the NBA, it was just like, let me just carry on with the music.
If I wasn't going NBA, you definitely wouldn't go NBA.
For me, it's the impact like of what the music does. You know, if someone comes and says, yeah, this song changed my life or this impacted me, you know.
Yeah.
I think you were there. I think I remember that guy saying that he was going to commit suicide, and he listened to our No Chain song,
right.
and he came to that place or whatever, he saw us perform, and from that song, like he didn't take his own life. And I just think like they're the trophies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, sack everything else.
Yeah.
If you can do that for one person, two people, like that's what it's about. So they're highlights for me. I've been doing a bit of songwriting stuff. Something's supposed to get released on a major label, but I'm just waiting. So obviously that'll be a highlight if that happens.
Sick.
It's supposed to happen. I've been writing for other artists and that.
Nice.
But yeah, like the highlights for me are the changed lives. Like, it's not really about like winning awards and stuff, even though that's cool. It's just about like I can save someone. Even with the youth work stuff, some of them, you know, listening to my music and then meeting me in person and me just building with them, chatting to them, just having that like hands-on life impact. Do you know what I mean? Like that's they're the highlights for me. Like if you could take anything away from that, it's just like, yeah, there's nothing really better than that. Do you know what I mean? For me.
That's sick, man, because that kind of like shows where your heart's at really as well now,
Yeah,
innit? Or that.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So here we have it. This is called a pancake a la freedom or a la crown, yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, it smells amazing. Like I say, cinnamon's a game changer. So big up for this. Shout.
I'm not just talking about one person, I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about form, I'm talking about content, I'm talking about interrelationships, I'm talking about God, the devil, hell, heaven. Do you understand? Finally!
Whoa, bringing a different energy. New breed sick with the medicine. Write the prescription, now watch how we're shifting the elements. Volts increase, not watching a monster's teeth. Quantum leap, and everything altered beast. Call of Duty, no respawn. Navigation, no detour. Animation, all reborn. Like the fuse and it's C4. Blood bought, blood washed. White robe, full stop. Heaven sent in his soul blade. Situation is all box. Thinking you're locking it down. Ain't put a mark or a spot on the crown. See a lot of missed out, but any moment it's apocalypse now. Any moment it's the day of the dead. Sky opens, no lady in red. I know my saviour, come a long way from flaking the press. Sitting, saving the spotting. Everyone working a budget. Only graph from the window, paranoid kid, no serving the public. Back when you could smell the ammonia, cause I wouldn't cook with the bicarb. Smashed off the pole and kids working at 8 from the 9 bar. House built on the rock, ain't got bits swaying, Big chains, them I'm built up like I'm bricklaid. Foundation on God's soul when the wind blows. My soul safe as I stare out the window. Don't wanna take my soul, give me no end. Still dry berry contenders. I know man that been putting in work from day dot still, but it never gets mentioned. Humble with it, so they don't stumble with it. Clock out the dungeon with it. Some punching, keep on stacking their numbers. I notice that something's missing. I notice the vacant space. That's why I keep singing Amazing Grace. I know freedom, broken trees, doing evil, making a matrix break. Actors pulling them Oscars. I don't dance with the wolves like Costa. Grafting, pushing them boxes. Back then I was on something toxic. I just wanna know my purpose, know my creator, load my worship. The fact he was bleeding diaper, an evil guy, it just blows my circuits. Had to back up, close my curtains, pecked out the zoo, shows my surface. Immaculate, clothed in purple, all hail the king that rose from murder. Now we spread the four corners, active bride of Christ, so gorgeous. Kingdom life on my quarters, bringing light to my aura. Born in sin, framed by the enemy, fallen kings. You want heaven but you don't want God, it's a strange old thing that you're calling win. House built on the rock, ain't got bit swayed. Big chains, them all built up like I'm bricklaid. Foundation on God's soul when the wind blows. My soul safe as I stare out of the windows. House built on the rock, ain't got a bit swayed. Big chains, them all built up like I'm bricklaid. Foundation on God's soul when the wind blows. My soul safe as I stare out of the windows. Architect on my side, shaping the walls and roads. Our collection of light made up of fallen souls. Gatekeeper and path, that's why I call it home. Main piece to my gap stands on a cornerstone. Architect on my side, shaping the walls and roads. Our collection of light made up of fallen souls. Gatekeeper and path, that's why I call it home. Main piece to my gap stands on a cornerstone. Main piece to my gap stands on a cornerstone.
Barry, thank you, mate, like I've been saying before, for coming on, you're a busy man, and yeah, mate, you're an inspiration, obviously, from the first time I met you, to the work that you do, and there'll be a lot of people that don't know kind of what you do. Please, start from the beginning, if you can. Tell us a bit about yourself and why you're in the position you're in now, I guess, in a sense.
Well, I suppose it starts way back in the day. My story really revolves around the drug scene and club culture here in Manchester.
Yeah.
I went to primary school, secondary school in Salford. I always came to town to do stuff, you know. When I was a kid, it was like Sid Street, and there was a skateboard centre point just down the road here where I used to come, so it was always Manchester.
Yeah.
And I got involved with a group of guys when I was 16, who were smoking weed, taking amphetamines and stuff, and there wasn't a lot of drugs around in my early days. It was kind of a thing that came on the scene a bit later. There was like the old hippies who were smoking weed and taking amphetamines and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I started to hang with these lads, and I got involved with like what we call now recreational drugs, and then eventually I started to take heroin. And one thing led to another, and I became a dealer.
Yeah.
And there's a pub just across the way from here, which is on the other side of a town, called the Union.
Right.
It's still there, the Union. It's part of what has become known as the gay village these days. In those days it wasn't called that, even though a lot of that activity went around there.
Yeah.
In those days it was a proper dive. Armed robbers are going there.
Right.
You could buy knocked off gear in there. You could buy drugs in there. It was that kind of place. And I loved it in there.
Yeah.
Because these were my kind of people, and nobody judged me for the lifestyle that I was living.
Yeah.
And I certainly wasn't going to judge them. And I still don't judge people now. Who am I to judge?
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to go in there with my mates at the weekends, and then I started to go in there on my own during the week. Yeah. Without Craig Ewing Psycho, who were my main three mates. And I got friendly with this mixed race girl who was into selling weed. Yeah. And I started to knock about with her. I wasn't sleeping with her, we were just mates. And I was seeing how easy she was making money and thinking I could do that.
Yeah.
And then it was during that time in Meredith Court when I started to deal heroin.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember, this is back in the day, not a lot of people were dealing brown in those days.
Yeah, yeah.
The guys we used to score it from in the early days were like the old hippies who lived in communities, in Fallowfield and that.
Yeah.
But there was a massive epidemic that hit the UK, the big cities like your Manchesters, your Liverpools and your Glasgows and your Londons. And a lot of the lads, and some women, but mainly lads who were into clubbing and football, started to dabble. Yeah. And a lot of them got habits, and there was a massive epidemic. Yeah. So I was right at the beginning of this first generation of like Perry Boy type lads, you know, you know, that kind of ilk of person started to use heroin, and so I started to deal heroin. So I started to make good money.
So you were dealing it before you got on it?
No, I was on it before I started to deal it.
Oh,
yeah,
right, okay.
I started to use heroin maybe 12 months before, while I was selling other drugs. Yeah. But I'd never dealt it. Yeah. But then when I moved to Meredith Court, the market was rife. And, it was
I'm
like,
with you. Yeah.
and I don't think I was being like an entrepreneur or there's money to be made. It was more to do with
Support your appetite,
that's it.
vibe.
Yeah, I can sell this, and I could get. And one of the guys that I used to get it from is a local lad actually, Tony. I won't mention his second name because he's still around, and you'll probably know him. He's a Christian now, and he used to like lay it on me in those days. And he come from like a bit of a big family in Longside, and everything was sweet, everything was good. But then I'd get nicked and I'd put in CDs here in Manchester, local police cells for the weekend. I came out for one time being in the police station over the weekend. I always got nicked on a Friday meeting.
Right.
I meant to have to wait till Monday to get bail.
Yeah.
And I came out and I was rattling. And I went to see my mum who worked at Marks and Spencer's on Salford Precinct to get some money, but she wasn't there. And I got 25 quid from somewhere, and I came back and I went to score in Hume. It was just opposite Meredith Court.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I took this gear, and because I'd been like in the cells over the weekend, I ended up ODing. And the dealer carried me downstairs, put me in this phone box, which was just outside his block of flats, which was just across the road from Meredith Court, and rang for an ambulance.
So what happened? Put you in
So I goes to knocks on his door, lets me in, goes into his bedroom.
Yeah.
I think I wanted an 8. No, I wanted a quarter. I said, I've only got an 8.
Right.
I says, well, give me the 8th, and I'll come back for the other 8th later on. He says, all right. So he gave me the quarter. I went into the bedroom and injected it, and I OD'd.
Right.
The next minute, I wakes up. I'm being rushed down Manchester General Hospital, and I'm like on a stretcher. All the lights are flashing by. I'm on this corridor, being rushed down this. I'm like, where am I? And then a nurse's face pops up over me. She says, you're lucky to be alive. I'm like, where am I? She said, you're in Manchester General Hospital. She said, you came in earlier on and you were dead on arrival. The ambulance guys, the paramedics found you in a phone box dead, so this guy had OD'd in his bedroom, carried me down to the phone box and left me there.
When did things get really bad to the point where you were like, I guess, when was breaking point?
I came out from doing a sentence in Preston prison. In those days, Preston was a jail where you did your good. Now it's a local jail. So I did my sentence. My girlfriend Lisa met me at the gate. We got a train back to Manchester when we train past. Got off the train. Got in a taxi. Went to Hume. Straight to my doctor's. Got my Valium, my DF1, my Temazepam, got loads of amphetamine.
Right.
I wanted to celebrate getting out of jail.
Yeah.
1 day, 2 day, 3 day, no sleep.
Yeah.
1 week, 2 week, 3 week, no sleep. 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, no sleep. And Lisa said, Barry, you need to get to sleep. And I just want to celebrate. Taking more amphetamine.
Yeah.
9 months after getting out of jail, and God knows that's true. 9 months, no sleep. Then all of a sudden, I started to hear voices. The Borings where we lived in Hume at that time, because we'd moved from Meredith Court to the Borings now.
Right, okay.
And they were shaped like Borings, and all the lads and the people that I knew who lived on other flats, I thought that they were at the windows shouting out at me, 24/7. They were shouting across. I'm like, Lisa, can you hear those voices?
Yeah. So you're in like a state of, what do they call it now, psychosis.
That's it. I didn't know it then. I didn't know that terminology.
Sure.
It's like they were real. They were as real to me as you are today, even though you're 2 metres apart.
Yeah.
They were so real to me, man. Eventually I went to see a doctor, and the diagnosis was amphetamine psychosis.
Right, okay.
He sent me to Cheadle Royal Hospital, which is posh part of Manchester, Cheadle.
Yeah. I know Cheadle Royal.
And I remember getting there, and I was interviewed by Dr. Thomas. That was the lowest point of my life. I was in there for 5 weeks because now I was out of control.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I could do to get rid of these voices. These voices were at it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I lost all my confidence, you know? That kind of bravado that I had as a young lad, I lost all my confidence. I was frightened. I didn't want to go outside.
Super broken.
Broken massively.
Yeah.
I've been in jail a few times, yeah? I've been in solitary confinement in strange ways. I've been in a padded cell in Leicester prison in a straitjacket after having a fight with this Yorkshire lad, and I won as well. So I've been in some pretty tough spots. I mean, people have been in tougher spots, but I've been in some tough spots. But the worst spot I've been in, seriously, was Cheadle Royal Mental Health Hospital, or the Priories they call it now, because now I was out of control. 9 years later, I'm still hearing voices.
Wow.
I had to live with them for 9 years.
What changed?
Well, I moved from the centre of Manchester. I had to get away from the town because some people were after me, so I got a train from Victoria Station.
Yeah.
And I remember, I actually went to the train station and I looked. I had a free train pass and a free bus pass then because of my mental health issues, and I could go anywhere in Greater Manchester for free. And I looked, and I looked at the list of places where I could go in Greater Manchester for free, and the furthest away was Rochdale. I thought I'll go there. So I got a yellow pages. Do you remember them before Google?
I actually did.
yeah, there you go. So I got a yellow pages, and I looked. Did they have any Salvation Army hostels? And they had one in Rochdale.
What made you think of that, Barry?
It was the furthest away.
Okay, right. So
from these people who were after me here in Manchester.
Salvation Army just pops up because of the.
I'd stayed in Salvation Armies before.
All right. Wow. Okay.
I'd already lived in a couple of Salvation Armies. I'd been here in James Street, one in Salford. I'd been in a couple of others in Warrington and somewhere else. But then, so I kind of knew that their setup, and I could have the freedom that I wanted. Yeah. So that was it. So that's what took me to Rochdale, and then I got a flat, and then.
So you're in Rochdale,
out in the sticks, nobody knows me, which I like. That's was the purpose in going there. Because when I walk down the streets around here, I'm thinking, you know. And there was some people. There was a little crew that was after me, so I needed to get out of town. So that gave me a bit of peace because nobody knows me around here. And then I got an housing association flat, and I lived in that. And this is where my story turns around. I've been in that flat for about 5 weeks, and I met 3 people. All of them were Christians, and one of them invited me to church. So why not? So I went, and now.
Any upbringing with God before?
No.
Anyone? No. Any mates in your life? No. Going, check this.
No.
Bam, bam, bam.
I must admit, Nick, I kind of, as a kid, even though my family wasn't religious, religion in our house was sport. I was one of 3 lads.
Yeah, like a lot of
typical
people,
working class family. My mum, my dad, and my brothers loved sport, but my sport was really music because I love music. So the whole Manchester thing, the Manchester era, and the Russell Club, and being a punk from being a kid. So that was my big thing. But they was into the sport. But we never really talked about faith and religion. But as a kid, every now and again I'd think, there must be a God.
Sure. So it'd cross your mind growing up, the fact of just creation.
That's it.
That type of vibe.
There must be a God.
How's that then? Why is that there?
When I got next, I thought, God, give me bail. So I prayed loads of them kind of crisis prayers. Yeah. So I didn't disbelieve, but I never really thought about it.
Sure.
And I was quite superstitious in one sense, like
I think a lot of people
things I
can
wouldn't
be.
do. But it was never. We never discussed religion in our house. It was a swear word. More than anything. It's in a lot of people's houses, and that's just life in it for a lot of us.
100%.
So when this woman who lived next door but wanted me, invited me to church, and I went and it was like, man, these are all basket cases, they're banging tambourines and waving flags around. Like, these are all nutters, like they opened the Olympics. I'm thinking, I came here to get away from people who are on drugs. It looks like these lot are all off on drugs. But then the guy gets up to speak, says, we believe in a God who can heal. Is there anybody who's got any issues? He said, no, I've got more issues than gold. He said, if you want to pray for anything comes to the front. I thought, what have I got to lose? Got out of my seat because he said come to the front, and I went to the front. He came and stood with me, and he put his hand on my head, and I felt really uncomfortable, thinking, why is he touching me? But I realised now he was just making contact so he could pray for me, and he started to pray. I told him what I need to be prayed for. I said I've been an addict and an heroin addict for 15 years. I'm actually on 55 months of methadone. I said the main thing I need prayer for is that I hear voices that suffering from psychosis. I've been for 9 years. Wow. So I told him what I need to be prayed for, and he put his hand on my head, and as he started to pray, I remember like it was only yesterday. He was shaking as he was praying. I had tears down the cheeks as he was praying. I was really hot inside, thinking, wow, what's going on here? And he said amen, and thinking, what does that mean? I didn't know. And I opened my eyes, and he'd sat down, and thinking, I could have told me he'd finished. And I walked back to my seat, and that was the turning point for me. That was the change. Within 4 weeks of being prayed for in that church, I was off drugs. Never taken.
For the first time you ever, you would have tried to stop before there, no power in it.
No, I've never purposely tried. I stopped when I was put into police cells over the weekend or in jail. And I still used drugs while I was in jail, but I never tried to stop. I was content. The drugs was my life. Taking drugs every day was part of my world. But then I came out from that church, I felt something had happened, and I walked to my little flat where I was living. And I remember walking in through the front door, walking into my little bedroom, and I looked up towards the sky, rolled my sleeves up, and I looked where I'd been injecting for years, because by now I was even injecting in my groin because all my veins are sore. And I said, God, you're alive, all I want to do is get this. And did a bit of swearing. I don't think he was worried about the language. He was more concerned about the language going on in here. I said, I just want to get this. I just want to get this out of my life. And the next day I got up, and instead of having 55 mils, I had 25 mils or 20 mils. And then I went down 5 mils a week until I was on 0, and I've been on 0 ever since. That's a miracle.
Ever since?
Ever since. I've never taken drugs ever since. That's a miracle.
Yeah, it is a miracle. 100% it's a miracle.
And I realised then in no time that God could take my mess and turn it into a message.
After you got become a Christian, what started to change in your heart, in your life over the next couple of years? What was the dominant shifts that you would say that you noticed where there was differences compared to your life before?
I think the way that I thought.
Right, okay. The way that you thought.
The way that I thought.
Okay.
Because the Bible says that as we read it, it renews our mind. And when I become a Christian, I started to read a lot of the Bible. I used to watch a lot of television in those days. I still watch telly now, but in those days it was on all the time. And I got rid of my telly. And I started to read the Bible, and I found as I was reading the Bible, my mind was being renewed, and I started to think differently, so I started to value myself differently. So when I looked at myself in the mirror, I didn't see the scrawny drug addict who had track marks all over his body through injecting drugs. I saw myself, how God sees me, that I'm a child of God, that I'm valued, and I started to get my dignity back, and I started to walk with my chest not like, but I felt
because of what
bigger.
you read.
Yeah, because the Bible pumped me up.
Right.
But the Bible helped me see who I really was in God, and how God valued me, that I'm a child of God, that I'm a son of God, that I'm a member of God's family. When I started to read stuff like that, thinking, wow, I'm not just an addict who's been injecting in his groin, who's lived homelessly, who's been a dealer, and this is how God sees me. That changed the way that I thought.
What's going on? So you just heard a story from Barry. Do you know what I'm saying? Really, really interesting stuff. This is the book that he was talking about. He said 45,000 of these off into prisons, and a lot of people that have been really impacted by this book. He also does a lot of other stuff. He's doing something called the Fix Conference every year. Me and Marvin have both performed at Fix Conference, and a lot of people go there and their lives have changed forever. So go check out Proclaim Trust, Barry Woodward. Go grab that book. What's happening? So you've heard from Marvin Adamha today. You've seen him cook a little bit of stuff up for us. You've heard a bit about how he's been inspired, how he started off. You've heard from Barry. You've heard his story. Both of these guys have got amazing content online. So go and check all that stuff out on YouTube and get in touch with me. You've got any questions about what these guys have been sharing. If you've been impacted by Barry's story, Marvin's stuff, get in touch with me on Vital Signs UK on Instagram. Make sure you go and see episode 1 if you've not seen it. And stay tuned for episode 3. Bless you.